You became the person everyone needs, the problem solver, the fixer, the one with all the answers. And at some point along the way, you stopped feeling. Not sad, not happy, just nothing. You solved everyone's problems, and you lost yourself in the process. This is Helena's story. 41 years old, a therapist. Ironic, isn't it? She spent 20 years helping people to feel, and she forgot how to feel herself. She became a machine, efficient, useful, empty. She could cry on command for clients, but she couldn't cry for herself. She could feel empathy, but not emotion. This is about emotional numbness, about becoming so good at managing other people's feelings that your own disappear, about the days she realized she was alive but not living. Are you a problem solver who has stopped feeling, or do you know someone like that? This is for you, before you forget you're human. If you can resolve everything but feel nothing, sign up now. Here we talk about mental health without romanticizing it or lying to you. Helena's story can show you how to feel again and help those who are going through this process. Helena wasn't born a machine, she became one, gradually, imperceptibly. It started when she was 21, studying psychology. She was the friend who listened, who gave advice, who solved problems. Colleagues would come to her with issues. Helena would listen, process them, offer solutions. And it worked. People were improving, and Helena felt useful. Useful was good. Useful was validation. Useful was purpose. And she became addicted to it, to the feeling of being needed, of making a difference, of having answers when others only had questions. She graduated, became a therapist, and the work amplified the pattern. 8 hours a day, listening to pain, processing trauma, offering solutions. And Helena was good, exceptionally good. Clients improved, reviews were excellent. She changed my life. She saved me. And Helena felt pride, but not joy. Pride is cognition. Joy is emotion, and emotion was distant. But she didn't notice, yet. Years passed. Helena became a reference point. Difficult cases came to her, severe depression, complex trauma, suicide attempts, and Helena handled them with competence, with calm, with zero personal emotion. And that was seen as strength. She doesn't flinch. She's so professional. But it wasn't professionalism. It was detachment. She had built a wall between her clients' emotions and her own to avoid being overwhelmed. And the wall worked so well that it became a fortress. And a fortress lets nothing in, not the pain of others, not her own joy. Nothing. Helena began to notice symptoms, small ones. First, she no longer cried. Sad movies? Nothing. Devastating news? Nothing. A client crying in front of her? Cognitive empathy. I understand your suffering. But she didn't feel it with her. She didn't have tears of her own. And she thought it was maturity. I've matured. I'm not emotional anymore. But it wasn't maturity. It was disconnection. Then the joy faded too. Achievements? Okay. Vacation? Necessary. Gifts? Thank you. All correct answers. Cognitively correct, but without any emotion behind them. Helena functioned perfectly, like a well-calibrated machine, and machines don't feel. They only execute. And Helena was executing life without living it. Helena had a husband. They had been married for 15 years. He noticed. You're distant. Helena, I'm tired. Always tired. The work is hard. And it was. But it wasn't just that. Helena was emotionally absent. At family gatherings, at romantic dinners, in bed. She was there, physically, but emotionally, permanently absent. The husband tried to connect. He planned a trip. Paris, city of love. Helena went and felt nothing. Eiffel Tower? Beautiful. Cognitively, but without enchantment. Romantic dinner? Pleasant, but without butterflies. Sex? Mechanical. She knew the movements, she knew the expected sounds, but she felt no desire, no pleasure, no connection. She simply executed, and execution without emotion is just performance. And Helena was performing. her whole life. Marriage, work, friendships, all performance, nothing real. And performance is exhausting because it demands constant attention. Am I reacting correctly? Do I seem present? Am I being human enough? And the answer was always, almost, but not completely, because humans feel, and Helena didn't feel anymore. One day, a client asked Helena something that broke her heart. How can you stand hearing about pain all day? Doesn't it affect you? And Helena replied automatically, I've learned not to let it affect me. The customer looked, but doesn't that leave you feeling empty? Silence. Helena had no answer, because the answer was yes, let it be. And she was empty, completely. But admitting it was admitting failure. She was a therapist. She should have known how to handle it. She should have been balanced. But she wasn't. She was numb. That night, Helena went home. Her husband wasn't there. She sat on the sofa and tried to cry. She forced herself. She thought about sad things. Her grandmother's death, years ago. Nothing. She thought about happy things. Her marriage. Nothing. She was testing, and the test confirmed it. She couldn't feel anything, not even by forcing it. And that terrified her, because it meant she had gone too far. She had built a wall so high that now she couldn't tear it down, even if she wanted to.
And she didn't know if she wanted to, because feeling hurt, and not feeling was safe. Empty, but safe. And Helena had chosen safety over life, and now she was paying the price. The price of being alive, but dead inside. And nobody saw it, because it worked perfectly, as it always had. And function is what counts, right? Wrong. But Helena didn't know that yet. Helena was 41 years old when she had a moment of brutal clarity. A client was telling her about a loss. Her son had died in an accident 2 years ago, and it still hurt. The client was crying, sobbing. And Helena? Helena was taking mental notes. Complicated grief, still in denial, needs to process anger. She wasn't feeling with the client, she was analyzing. And that was her role, technically. A therapist shouldn't get lost in the client's emotions. They should maintain a professional distance. But Helena didn't have professional distance. She had an abyss. And the abyss wasn't a conscious choice. It was the norm, so ingrained that she no longer knew how to feel with someone, only how to analyze for someone. And the customer noticed. She stopped crying. She looked at Helena. You don't feel anything, do you? Helena blinked. I feel empathy for you. No, you understand intellectually, but you don't feel it. I see it. You are empty. And there it was. The client had named it, what Helena had avoided naming for years. Empty. Not temporarily, chronically. And the client had seen it, in one session, what her husband had seen for years, what her colleagues saw, what everyone saw, but nobody spoke up, because Helena was good at what she did, and nobody questioned someone who is good, even when being good comes at the cost of humanity. After the session, Helena locked the door. She sat down, and for the first time in years, she tried to feel, to really feel something, anything. Anger at being exposed? Nothing. Sadness at being seen as empty? Nothing. Fear of being lost? Nothing. Just emptiness. Confirmed. Real. Undeniable. Helena began to review her life. When was the last time you felt something genuine? Not performance, not cognitive empathy, but visceral emotion, something that takes you by surprise, that knocks you off your feet. When? She didn't remember. Years, maybe 5, maybe 10. And that meant she had spent a decade living like a robot, running life without feeling it. And worse, no one had stopped her, because she was functional, and functional is socially acceptable, even when it's emotional death. Helena called her supervisor. Even therapists have therapists. I need to talk, urgently. They met, and Helena poured it all out. Years of numbness, of dissociation, of being a machine. I don't feel anything anymore, and I don't know how to feel again. or if I want to, because feeling hurts, and not feeling is controllable. The supervisor listened and said something that changed everything. You didn't become a therapist to help people, you became a therapist to avoid feeling. And it worked. You built an entire career around processing other people's emotions so you would never process your own. And now, you're an expert in other people's emotions and illiterate in your own. And that made you an excellent professional, but a terrible human being to yourself. Helena cried. Not much, 2 tears, but they were the first in years. And the supervisor saw. You can still feel it. It's buried, under years of defense, but it's there, and you can dig it up, but it will hurt, a lot, because you'll have to feel everything you've avoided for years, all at once, or little by little, but you'll have to feel it. And feeling is terrifying when you've spent decades without it. Helena knew it was true, and she had 2 options: continue as she was, functional, empty, safe, or dismantle and take a risk, feel and perhaps crumble, but at least be alive, truly alive, not just functioning. Helena chose the second option, not because she wanted to, but because the alternative was to continue dying, slowly, comfortably, and she didn't want to die. Even if living hurt, a comfortable death was still Beth, and Helena wanted life, even if chaotic, even if painful. Life, real, felt, alive. And for that, she needed to dismantle the fortress she had built, stone by stone, emotion by emotion. And I didn't know if I could, but I was going to try, because trying was more than I'd done in a decade, and trying was already progress, small but real, and real is what Helena needed, desperately. Helena began a strange process, relearning how to feel. Her supervisor suggested, stop analyzing, just feel. When something happens, don't process it, feel it, and describe the physical sensation, not the cognitive one. Helena tried. She watched a sad movie. Normally, she would analyze it. Good cinematography, well-constructed script. But this time, she focused on the body, and she felt it, a tightness in her chest, small but real. And that was something. Not crying, not yet, but a tight grip, which was a precursor to emotion, and emotion was returning, slowly, but returning. She also stopped working so much. She reduced her clientele, from 8 a day to 5, and she used her free time for nothing, just existing without function, without purpose. And that was terrifying, because Helena didn't know how to exist without being useful. But she forced herself. She sat in a park, without her cell phone, without a book, just sitting, and she felt.
Boredom first, then discomfort, then peace? Small, strange, but peace. And peace was emotion. Not a strong emotion, but emotion. And Helena grasped it, like a shipwrecked person grasps a buoy, because peace meant she could still feel something positive, not just process it, but feel it. And that was hope, the first in years. Small, but real. And real was enough, for now. The husband noticed the change. You're crying. Helena wiped her face. I am. Why? I don't know. I just felt like it. And he hugged her. He didn't say anything, he just hugged her. And Helena felt it. Comfort. Small, but real. And comfort was emotion. Positive. And she wanted more. Desperately. But the process wasn't linear. Helena had days when she felt, and days when she returned to emptiness, and days when she felt too much, and she panicked. I can't stand feeling all this. It's too much. Supervisor, you spent decades bottling it all up. Now the dam has broken, and everything comes at once. And yes, it's overwhelming, but it's temporary. Eventually, you learn to manage it, to feel it without being overwhelmed. But in the beginning, it's a flood, and you endure it, because the alternative is returning to emptiness, and you already know emptiness, and it almost killed you. Helena knew, and she endured. Days of flooding, of crying for no reason, of laughing at silly things, of feeling anger, of feeling joy, of feeling everything, chaotically, intensely. And it was exhausting, but it was life, real, felt. And Helena preferred the exhaustion of life to the comfort of death, any day, always. The supervisor explained the concept, compassion fatigue. This is different from burnout. Burnout is exhaustion. Compassion fatigue is emotional numbness. It happens to professionals who constantly deal with other people's trauma. Doctors, nurses, therapists, social workers. You absorb so much pain from so many people that your brain shuts down emotion as a defense mechanism. If I feel all of this, I'll break. Then I won't feel anything. Research shows that 40 to 85% of therapists develop compassion fatigue at some point in their careers, and most don't realize it because the symptoms are subtle. You don't feel sad, you feel nothing. And nothing is easy to ignore because it doesn't hurt, it just doesn't exist. Helena had it, severely, and she hadn't realized it for years because she remained functional, and functional is the only criterion society uses. You work? Yes. Then you're fine. But no, working isn't about being well, it's about being functional, and being functional can mean being dead inside. And the internal death of helpers is a silent epidemic, one that nobody talks about because helpers can't possibly need help, right? Wrong, but that's what we believe. Studies also show that emotional numbness isn't just psychological, it's in the brain. The brains of people with compassion fatigue show reduced activity in emotional areas and increased activity in areas of cognitive control. Translation, the brain literally shuts off emotion and turns on analysis. You become a processing machine, not a feeling machine. And that's adaptation, intelligent adaptation. In the short term, because it allows you to function in emotionally intense environments. But in the long run, it kills you. Because humans need to feel, not just think. And when you only think, you cease to be human. You become a function, and functions can be replaced. Humans cannot. Helena had become a job, and she was discovering the cost of it. A distant relationship, a life without flavor, an existence without meaning, because meaning comes from emotion, not from cognition. You can know you love someone, but what if you don't feel love? Knowing is not enough, and Helena knew many things, but she felt none. And that was living in black and white when the world is colorful, and she wanted the colors back, desperately. Researchers have also discovered that recovering from compassion fatigue requires something different. It's not rest, it's vulnerability. You need to allow yourself to feel your own emotions, not just process those of others. And that's terrifying, because your own emotions aren't controllable. You can distance yourself from other people, but your own? You're inside them. And being inside is frightening when you've spent years outside. A 2018 study found therapists with compassion fatigue. Half went on a rest retreat, half underwent therapy focused on processing their own repressed emotions. After 6 months, the rest group improved 15%. The processing group improved 68%. Why? Because the problem wasn't tiredness, it was repression. And repression isn't cured by rest, it's cured by liberation. And liberation hurts, but it heals. Helena was doing it, letting go, and it hurt a lot. But it was also healing, slowly but really. And what mattered was what mattered. It always had been. Another crucial piece of data. A 2020 study showed that therapists with compassion fatigue have a rate of clinical errors 3 times higher. Why? Because they are not emotionally present. They are on autopilot, and autopilot misses details. It loses connection. And therapy is about connection. Without connection, it's just mechanical conversation. Helena reread notes from previous years, and she saw her sessions had become mechanical, protocol-driven. Patient reports X, I applied technique Y, result Z. There was no person there.